You know that feeling when you order a piece of gear that looks perfect on the product page, only to find it's a lot less useful once it lands on your desk? I've been there plenty of times with network equipment, and the frustration is real, especially when you're the person on call 24/7 and can't afford a misstep. That's why today I'm breaking down a console server that promises remote access from anywhere, but also comes with a few trade-offs you might not see at first glance. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the problem most of us face. You have a rack full of routers, firewalls, and switches in a remote office or a data center edge site, and the only way to troubleshoot is to send a technician on a plane or a pricey service call. The alternative is a console server, but the cheap models I've tried either lacked a reliable out-of-band connection or required a separate cellular device that added another point of failure. The Tripp Lite 8-port console server tries to solve that by bundling an LTE cellular modem right into the chassis, plus a couple of Ethernet NICs for dual-path redundancy. First off, the hardware is pretty straightforward. You get 8 RJ45 serial ports, each with its own independent access channel, and 2 gigabit Ethernet interfaces that can be set up as separate networks, one for your primary LAN and one for a backup network. The built-in cellular modem is a 4G LTE module that can be slotted into a SIM card, so if your main internet goes down you still have a way to dial in. For many of the small to mid-size operations I've spoken with, that single piece of hardware replaces a separate router, a cellular hotspot, and a standalone console server, which is a real space saver on a crowded rack. Setting it up is where the promise meets reality. The unit ships with a web-based interface that's accessible right after you plug in power and connect one of the Ethernet ports. The UI walks you through network configuration, port mapping, and cellular activation. I found the steps intuitive enough that a junior admin could follow the wizard without needing a deep dive from the vendor. The real kicker, though, is the way the device handles authentication. You can push local usernames, enable radius or TCAX for larger environments, and even set per port access controls. That granularity is a huge plus if you need to hand out console access to multiple teams without exposing everything. Now, let's talk daily usability. In a real-world scenario I've seen with a regional office that runs a handful of Cisco ISR routers, the console server became the central point of contact for any outage. When the office's ISP suffered a fiber cut, the LTE link automatically kicked in. The network admin in the headquarters logged into the web console from a laptop, clicked the port tied to the affected router, and was instantly staring at the CLI prompt. No need for a VPN tunnel, no need to coordinate a local tech, just a few clicks and you're in. Over a 3-month trial, the team logged roughly 30 remote sessions, and each one saved an average of $250 in service call fees. That's a concrete illustration of where the value comes from. You're paying for the peace of mind that you won't be stuck waiting for a physical presence. Of course, the unit isn't a perfect fit for every environment. If you're a home lab enthusiast or a hobbyist with a single router to manage, you'll likely be overpaying for the redundancy features and the LTE modem you'll never use. The device also runs a relatively modest 4 GB flash storage for the OS and logs. In larger enterprises that require extensive logging, audit trails, or integration with a centralized syslog server, you might find the storage cramped and need to offload logs manually. The UI, while clean, isn't as polished as some enterprise-grade platforms. There are a few moments where you have to refresh the page to see the latest session status, which can feel a bit clunky if you're juggling many ports at once. Another hidden trade-off is the cellular data plan itself. The hardware won't come with a data bundle, so you'll need to purchase a SIM with a plan that matches your expected usage. For most remote sites, a few megabytes a month is enough because you're only sending command line text, but if you start using the console server for firmware uploads or large configuration backups, that data can add up. It's a cost that isn't obvious on the product page, and it's worth budgeting for upfront. Who should definitely consider this box? Small to medium businesses with multiple remote locations, managed service providers who need to keep an eye on client equipment without dispatching trucks, and any IT team that values a single pane of glass for out-of-band management. The built-in LTE gives you a failsafe that many competitors lack, and the dual NICs let you separate management traffic from production traffic, which aligns with best practice network segmentation. The 2-year warranty.